You or me?
Me.
George. Jeremy, go lay down.
Video phones is what we dreamed of when we were kids. It's not quite as cool as we'd hoped, is it?
No.
Nope. A little more technical.
So the meeting's live and it's being
No,
recorded.
the ride home after the meeting is not going to be bad.
All right, well, somebody might as well start since it's almost 5 after.
Go ahead, Joseph. You're second in charge.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:04.
Yep.
And we'll have a roll call. We're all set there. Any public input? I don't see any. Approval of minutes from November 10th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All those in favor? We got no voice from George.
No.
Where'd he go?
He's there.
He's there.
Oh, there he is on the bottom.
Looks
Okay,
like
all
he's
in
farting around
favor?
with his phone, so he's probably gonna call in.
He might be on his cell phone
Oh.
here. It's this 485-2027. Is that you, George?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, there he is.
And
Alright,
Joe,
for some
Joe,
reason-
just for Rhonda's record, if you just read off who's here, Rhonda, even if you read off who's here, just for the record.
All right, Bill Hester, George Clausen, Joe Lemlin.
Yeah.
Jim Rollins, Marty Cormier, Finance Director Bruce Strafford, and Rhonda Roy, our new secretary,
And Pam Columbi.
and Pam Columbi, who's running the video.
Okay.
All right, so we
Mike-
asked for the, oh, go ahead.
Rhonda, you might want to make a note that John is going to attend as soon as his computer is up.
Okay.
Okay, so we had the approval of the minutes. Everybody was in favor there.
Yep, got that.
Okay. Bark Hampstead Sewer, final hookup to Winchester after approved items installed and inspected.
So currently, the force main is done from end to end. They're doing the laterals across the road to those 5 properties this week, and we expect the manholes to be delivered and start to be installed next week. The only glitch that's on the horizon is that the sewer flow meters, the digital flow meters for the manhole at the property line, there's a little bit of an availability issue, but I think it'll probably show up in time to be ready for startup. Marty, have you got any update on when those are going to be delivered?
No. Ty Sales wasn't able to get that to us today. So
Okay.
I would think they were hoping within 2 weeks. So that falls within the parameters of when we've ordered it. It was ordered on time.
Okay.
Basically, though, it shouldn't hold us up, in my opinion. I think we can go ahead, and if they're ready to go and they're ready to start flowing, we're not going to let I would suggest that we don't let it hold them up. We'll be able to meter them from each individual house. This is going to be, this meter will be a second check, you know, a safeguard. We can balance the actual meter readings at every building. Every building will be metered. And we can measure that against our meter reading at the town line. So
And
the system can function.
there's also a flow meter at their E1 pump. So until somebody else gets hooked up, that will be a triple check. So we should be in pretty good shape.
Okay, very good. Report finance
I would
director.
suggest,
Oh.
I would suggest we let. Who's up, me?
Yep.
Yeah, Marty, you were talking. Go ahead.
Oh,
I was just simply saying that I would suggest that we, you know, if we don't have the meter in hand and they're ready to fire up the system, that we go ahead and let them fire up the system. We can take a meter reading from the building itself and we can start the billing from there. They'll be the only entity hooked up to the system. So we have a way of measuring, metering their usage.
Okay, I see John's on board. You ready to take over, John? We're on the finance director report.
Okay, if you'd like to.
So before we go to there, can I just ask a question? When do you think that they will actually start pushing, you know, flow to the sanitation plant? Do you have a date in mind?
It'll be about 2 weeks.
So when they go to measure, when we do our January 1 readings, will it be essentially just one customer for a couple of weeks?
No, we're going to set up the water meters before they energize the system. You know, they're changing to our meters with our MIUs. And so we'll have all of that information.
Okay, so you're going to use the water meter readings to document the sewage flow.
Yep, and the meter at the E1 pump, and then the meter at the pit. So we'll have three ways to cross-check.
Okay, so but you expect that when we do the January 1 readings, we're going to have multiple customers for Barkhamsted?
Assuming that they're up and running by January 1st, yes. You know, we'll have something set up by January 1st. The possibility is all the meters could still be at 0.
Okay, which case that people wouldn't get anything but the base charge?
Right, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I have one quick question though for Jim. So driving by, it looks like I missed the first part. Where do they stand? I don't see any manholes in there yet.
So so the force main is done and the laterals are going in this week. They're expecting to excavate and place the manholes next week and then, you know, finish up the internal plumbing and, you know, setting up the meters and blah, blah, blah. And then it should be operational.
So the flow meter is not going in at the town line?
No, it is.
Oh, it is? Okay. Yep. I just heard that the flow wasn't going to be checked there. That's all.
We're experiencing a bit of a delay getting that meter. It's not
that's
like
okay. That's not really our problem though.
Correct. No, it's not our problem. I think it's going to be here in time, so I'm not really that worried about it.
All right. Go ahead,
okay.
Bruce.
Yeah, no, tomorrow I'm supposed to connect with Spencer Monroe, the assistant treasurer over at Barkhamsted, work on coordinating how we transmit billing information. And I was just wanting to, learn when we'd actually have data for them. So this is helpful. Okay, with respect to the finance reports, I sent out 4 documents. with some notes. And I think they're fairly self-explanatory. If we go to the sewer fund budget, you'll see we're at 42% of the fiscal year. We're actually a little bit ahead of on sewer rent collections. The current line item, the top line item, we're at 630,000 collected versus 610 last year. So that's good. We're not quite, we're a little bit behind on the past due rents, which is typical of what we've been seeing in this COVID year. Just a reminder, the Russ Septic bill was fully collected last month, so their balance is still zero. I'm not aware if is Alex taking any dumps from Russ Septic?
He hasn't, I don't believe, but he did learn that they're not paying in Torrington as well.
Well, it's good that he paid us rather than Torrington. Okay, another reason to be very circumspect.
Indeed.
With them. Okay. The sanitation plant department 315 is at 37% of budget. All those categories look about where we expected them to be. Marty's pumping station department is at 32% of budget. There are, I've made a note down there on page 2 that, or excuse me, page 3, that the Barkheads to Hampstead interlocal project expenditures includes $15,000 of Mallory Brook funds to offset some of the inspection fees. And that's why that is the year-to-date expenditure is a negative number. That's because we have more fees collected than we have inspection fee expenditures. So total expenditures are at 31% of budget, which is very comparable to where we were last year at this time. Any questions on the sewer fund? So if not, we'll go to the water fund report. So this water rents current are running ahead of last year by about $35,000. But we're a little bit behind, about $25,000 on past due water rents. Total revenues are very comparable to last year at this time. 851,000 compared to 853. So I've just underlined some accounts that are showing some negative unencumbered balances. Those are just reminders that we have to be careful. We know about the meter expenses, which is down towards the bottom of the page, that we are running some extra expenses through that account. Waterworks is at 44% of the budget. The water plant's at 31% of the budget. Admin's at 37% of the budget. The water commission's at 7% of the budget. Total expenditures are at 32% of the budget. $611,000 compared to $606,000 last year at this time. So again, things are running very comparable to last year.
You mentioned you got underlined that intern and temporary help on the top of page 2.
Right. So my understanding that there was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I raised this in prior meetings. Is there some scholarship money that's supposed to come in to offset that?
That's how I remember it.
There is, I don't have the minutes in front of me. I think I sent them to you guys. The minutes where the discussion was to, what I had asked for was to have the commission match the cost of the internship. I have those minutes in a file. I'd have to go back and look through them to exactly see what you folks agreed upon.
Yeah, I think you sent that to us last month.
But it was between the committee.
Yeah, we'll work that out with Bruce.
So if is my understanding correct that we have $3,120 in intern and temporary help costs? Is that supposed to be 50% match? In other words, the commission would only expect the McCarthy Fund to provide 50% reimbursement on that, or?
I'd have to see the minutes.
I believe it
can't
was
remember.
50%. I can.
We'll get those minutes and we'll have it ready for next meeting. We don't need to discuss that tonight.
Okay.
And what I will do is I'll make sure that if whatever payments due is, I'll have a check for at next month's meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, so any other questions on the water fund? So the next report would be the bank balances at November 30th. The sewer fund has 469,000. The water fund has 561,000. The savings account for the two funds totals $1,147,000. That's split 873,000 with the water fund and 273,000 with the sewer fund. These balances are still fairly healthy, but I will tell you is that this last week we wrote a check to the dealer for the vacuum truck, which will remove about $205,000 from each one of these accounts. So they'll be lower in at the end of December. So I was pleased that we were able to pay for this truck with cash and not have to finance it. It just and that the dealer was able to accommodate that construction, almost 1 year construction of that vehicle, but without requiring the commission to put up any money in advance or deposit or anything like that. So kudos to the dealer for making that happen. I thought that worked out well. So the last report is the Fund 123, which is the water and sewer capital improvements. And on page 2, you see the various projects. And this report runs from July of 2018, when we established some budgets for some of these projects, through November 30th. The first line item is the pump station 8 replacement. We are still waiting for an invoice from P&G Pepper for their work. It's long overdue. I know we've got a purchase order outstanding, but I think Marty's chasing down that invoice. Is that right, Marty?
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure you guys know what happened with Pepper Construction. The owner, Gordy Pepper, passed away, and they're dissolving the business. I've been trying to get a hold of. I've got a hold of the foreman that was on our job, Mike, and he's trying to get me in touch with the office manager there. We'll see. I'm not sure why we haven't received that invoice we have been invoiced for Brookside and Overlook, which happened, both jobs happened after Pump Station 8, during about the same time, but after, so we should have had an invoice for them by now, but, I'll know more here in the next couple of days.
We had a purchase order for $50,000 for their work. I think it was running about a little less than $5,000 a day. And do we think that they used all 10 days to do that work, or do we think that was something less?
It's approaching that.
Okay. All right, so then I've indicated that the back truck has been delivered. Just know that the cost for the sewer funds cost was $207,000. The water funds cost was $207,000. The budget is less than what the cost is. That's because we're appropriating the budget over a number of years, and we still have a couple years of capital budget to go to pay for these trucks. I think the rest of it is fairly clear. We had some activity on Brookside Avenue water main, also the Wallens Hill tank, the Crystal Lake tank, the pipe saw. That's probably the full cost, right, of the pipe saw. So that's done.
It is.
And we've had some engineering fees on the last project, replace water mains at, I think that's Case, Center, Holabird, Tebow, and some other street in there with that begins with the name G. Or
Gay
the letter
Street.
G. Gay Street. Okay. So that's the kind of what's going on in the capital side right now. John, is that giving you the kind of activity report you were looking for?
Yes. Well done. Looks good.
All right. I don't have anything else. I don't have any bill adjustments or liens or anything at this point.
All right. Any questions for Bruce?
While you have Bruce, do you want to get on to the sewer rates before you go on to anything else?
That's fine with me.
Well, I haven't really done too much. I think what we left it at last month was everyone was going to kind of stew over the options, and I'm kind of working from my home office, and I don't have all those materials with me, so I don't have a lot of details to lead that discussion. I apologize for that, but I did not feel well today, and I ended up getting a COVID test. I'm waiting for the results. So,
All right. We'll table it till next month. Any objections to tabling it till next month?
Sounds good to me.
Nope.
I have no
Good.
problem with that.
Fine.
Okay. All right, Bruce, we'll pick that up next month then.
okay.
Hope
Thanks,
you feel
Bruce.
better.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay on and listen about what's going on elsewhere in the fund, so I have a understand on that.
That's fine. Okay. Jim, how's the update on the sewer plant furnace?
It's nearly complete. They've got the units in place and the plumbing is put together. They haven't fired it up yet, but everything is going, right according to plan.
All right. And how about the step screen?
We haven't even looked at it in months. Just not enough bandwidth for us to do all the other things and that. So hopefully, I got a lot of big projects behind me this week, so I'm hoping I can jump on that one next week and
All
really
right.
get something written up.
Yeah, I'd like to see it get out.
Yeah, you and Alex too. The rags are getting out of control down there
Yeah.
right now.
I hear you. Discussion on customers who are unwilling to update MIUs.
So because COVID has gotten so crazy, we've ended that program again, just as it got, just as we got some steam up. The only person that we really had a hard time with was obviously someone at the lake, and they were just bitching and moaning and crying and whining their fear of COVID. So I said, well, that's the whole point of putting you on a fixture account, so that we can recoup our costs and we don't have to expose you. And oh my God, I thought they were going to die. So we just threw out the whole process with the bathwater, and we said, well, we're just going to pick it up in the spring when people are less, insane. Not that that'll really happen. They'll keep using this as an excuse forever, I think.
Yep.
But so that whole program is on hold. Just as we got back up to speed, it just came crashing down on us. Poor Caitlin has been, putting her heart and soul into it, only for us to start it and stop it, start it and stop it. But it is what it is.
Okay, how's it? Secretary for the commission?
Yep, Rhonda is taking that over. Thank you, Rhonda.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Rhonda, by the
Hello,
way,
Rhonda.
Tim was absent excused tonight
Okay.
for a roll call. Crystal Lake Emergency Action Plan update?
So I finally got the task orders from Leonard Engineering. There's actually four aspects that we're looking at that dovetail together, and so we're looking at them simultaneously. There's the required 10-year update to the water supply plan, and then there's a new ingredient that's been added to the requirements this year, and it's called a safe yield study. I guess that's to ensure that people don't, overpump their aquifers or deplete their, or exceed their bypass permits or diversion permits. There's also a risk and resiliency assessment, kind of a vulnerability assessment, and the emergency response plan. Some of these are updates, some of them are new, but they all dovetail together. Added up together, they come out to $29,500. And I don't know what line item to pull those from. So I was hoping to get some guidance as to where that should come from.
That'll be coming from the water fund?
Yeah.
So in Department 322, Water Commission, you have a contingency account 322835 with a $45,000 budget. $6,000 has been spent to date, leaving $38,000 left. There are no purchase orders encumbering that $38,000 at this point. You also have account 851 in that department, engineering services, with a $20,000 budget with no expenditures or encumbrances at this point.
The water budget expenditure report, like Overlook and Brookside, we have money left over from those accounts, do we not? We can move it out of there.
So Overlook should be completed at this point.
Correct.
Brookside, there may be some paving costs in the spring. We did a patch, but we didn't really do, we didn't do much. But I'm going to try to get the town to do some, but so I'm trying to split that cost because it needed so much work anyway. So I
mean,
wouldn't
Overlook-
assume that that's completed.
Overlook right now has got what, 100,000 left in the budget? A little over.
Yes.
So there's no reason why we can't take the whole right out of Overlook.
Well, now that you mention it, John, we've got actually a project called Update Emergency Action Plan, which is 322-878-2104, where we have a
Correct.
$20,000 budget. Is this the project that you got an estimate for 29.5?
Well, that one I was budgeting at that came in at 17.5. The risk resilience and the emergency response plan were 6,000 each, adding up to 29.5.
But is that project that we have update emergency action plan, is that the project you're working on with
Yes.
this 29.5?
Yes, it is.
So you really only need $10,000 more in that account to cover it.
Correct.
So you could, move $10,000 out of Overlook Road water main budget down to, the emergency action plan budget.
Okay, that's a great suggestion.
I make the move to do that.
I'll second that.
So
All in favor?
Motion? Who made the motion?
Rhonda,
George,
George
George.
Clausen.
Joe seconded.
yep,
And so it's going from what account to,
It's going from account 322-878-2003-0000 to 322-878-2103-0000.
I think that's 2104.
2104.
Oh, 2104. Sorry. Thank you, Bruce.
And we're moving 10.5?
10,000 even.
and 10,000.
Oh, 10,000.
It's 10,000 of budget dollars. And it's in, just so you know, Rhonda, that's in Fund 123. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed unanimous. Okay, Jim, sewer plant, generator, frozen valve, portable water pump, internet update.
The internet is up and
Hey!
Alex is ecstatic.
Thank God.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. If I remember correctly, the sewer plant generator, the circuit has been installed, but I don't recall if the rest of the setup is complete. Bill, do you have any update on that?
I don't. I was gonna stop this morning, but I didn't get a chance. I'll swing by down there tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up, but the day got late. And they haven't done anything about that frozen valve or the broken pipe that I know of.
Well, that was gonna be Westgate, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we prioritized the boiler before we had them do that. So
Okay.
the boiler's almost done, so that should be following up shortly.
And then what about that broken PVC pipe? Mr. Vale was talking about.
Yeah, it's broken because it's misaligned. It's following a round building, and where it comes together, it's just kind of,
The joint?
it's just stressed, and it's got a little bit of a crack in it. It's not a big job to do. They can do it from ladders, and it's just a matter of shutting down the pumps for a little while, fixing it, putting it together. It's not a big deal at all.
Something we could do in the spring?
Oh, I think we'll probably do it as soon as they're done with the boiler.
Okay.
The frozen valve on the potable water pump, that I honestly am not very familiar with. Bill probably is more so than I am.
Not really. Like I said,
Okay.
I'll stop down. I'll stop down in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, any bill adjustments? Bruce,
No.
you said there are none?
No.
Okay, director's report, Jim.
All right. Let's see. So the Cary Avenue sewer project has kind of reared its head again. One of the houses on Cary Avenue is looking like it's going to be sold. So between the buyer, the seller, and the neighbor, it looks like they're actually going to put a sewer main down Cary Avenue and connect a couple of houses. And they're just trying to figure out who's going to pay for which part of it. I had them in charge with Leonard, and I had them in touch with Leonard Engineering, who drew the plans for that whole road project, to touch base with them on what's required so that they know what they're getting into. And I confirmed it with them. So I'm waiting to get a proposal back from them or a plan. But really a pretty simple, just an 8-inch SDR 35 pipe into a drop into the manhole and a couple of connections. Really a pretty simple, inexpensive job for what they get. They just started scheduling the testing for the wastewater licenses again. So I know Alex and I think Wade are scheduling tests, maybe even John. So that's good news. Those were on hold for a while. We talked about the emergency operations plan. Oh, so the National Register of Historic Places, as you guys are aware, we were accepted, we were nominated and approved to be a National Register of Historic Places location. So the question is, what does that mean? I checked with Jenny Schofield of the State Historic Preservation Organization, and her answer was pretty vague. She sent me a big list of all the things where it impacts and where it doesn't. And it seems like it doesn't matter. So I question why we even went through it. And I guess the short answer is because the funding people make you do it. So we had to go through this. They said we're a historic place, but it doesn't really have any impact. So it was 20 grand pissed away, if you ask me. But anyway, we got some good press for it, so maybe it was worth something. But in the meantime, we're going to look at it a little more closely with Leonard and see how that impacts our partially completed engineering for the dam and dike repairs. I did receive a call over the weekend. Somebody complained that there was a lot of shooting on water company property off of Old Danbury Quarter Road. And that person called the police. I guess it was pretty aggressive, and they've been making a hell of a mess over there. So it's maybe not a bad thing that somebody called it in. We touched on everything else. The only other thing that's brewing behind the scenes is an on-call phone for the sewer plant. We got a phone. It was not a really well orchestrated call-in procedure down there. They were getting a lot of overlaps. Alarms were calling phones. It's just not well automated. So we got a cell phone that Alex is sending home with somebody on a nightly basis or on an as available basis. So of course, the next question was, what's the compensation going to be for being required to carry a phone? So
I thought we already took care of that.
that was Marty's group of guys. This is Alex's group. So I don't think they don't get the frequency of calls. So I don't think they're asking for a significant amount, but I'm just planting the seed that's coming, and I'll be working with Alex to try to come up with some kind of a phone carrying stipend for them. But that's the only other new thing on the list. And as we get further down the way, we'll decide what we want to do with that. But I wanted to at least plant that seed in your head. And that's it for my list.
Any questions for Jim? Hearing none, we'll move on. Sewer plant bridge repair, that'll be 2022.
Yep.
State revolving fund update on projects.
So the Wallens Hill and Crystal Lake tanks, we've completed a flow study of the system, and they're updating the model, the flow model. We're also in the process of surveying the properties. We've done wetland surveys, so that's moving along. The water main project, we are negotiating the engineering fees with them. That's been a little more complicated than we thought it should have been. Maybe because it's the first time we've worked with this engineering firm, but we're getting pretty close, and we're pushing them kind of hard because we want to get those all that stuff in to the SRF as soon as possible, because if you wait too long, we're going to miss that second 25% non-reimbursable grant. So we want to get that money for free rather than pay it out of our pocket. So we're pushing hard on that. So that's where we are on the SRF stuff.
Dam repair is still USDA.
Yeah, that's the same historic stuff. The next step on that is really to revisit the design and the permit now that we have our designation. Again, what was the point? I still have no idea, but we've checked that little box on their application, and we'll see what that leads us. The next thing to think about long-term, Bruce, is how we're going to pay for what was estimated at a $3 million dam and dike repair. And, we've got these 2 SRF applications for the mains and the tanks, and then the next round of mains. So you're going to have to find us another 3 million. So, attaboy.
Boy.
Water regulation update, still nothing.
Yeah, we haven't looked at that. Tree harvesting, we haven't looked at that. And then the MIUs, we talked about that up above. We've stopped that program just because it's just not worth the effort with the COVID.
Okay, new business sounds like we're going to be doing this Zoom for a few months. Sorry to say. But
John,
go ahead.
I got a question for you. A couple things. Back a couple of years ago in our neighborhood, we got about 22 or 23 houses. And Marty, you had your pump supplier that you thought might be able to be helpful with regards to helping to come up with a realistic guesstimate for what this would mean for the neighborhood up here. I wonder if we could, undertake something like that. These houses, we just had somebody just put, 2 systems were put in this year up here, replacements, but it's that timing and we've got the capacity. So I wonder if that's something we could look into.
Yeah, I mean, we can get Eric Hess to take a look at it and give us a proposal of some type. And, we've thought about it a little bit, and rather than going through the road, we were considering doing it similar to what we did on Overlook and run it up the side of the roads, just right in the grass off the road. If we do that, it saves a ton of paving costs.
Sure. Well, I think talking to some of the neighbors, they saw some activity at 2 of the houses. One just got completed a week or so ago. I think from what Batista gave us a few years ago, that didn't excite anybody if you're going to spend 85 G's for,
Sure.
you know, the system. But if we can follow up on that, I think with our capacity, you know, additional capacity available, we can maybe get some more users on here. And I know sure as hell a lot of people here would be in favor of supporting it, but we have to have some realistic guidance on costs. Another question I had, we've got the lake drawdown. How do you control water from Rug Brook into Crystal Lake and then the outlet going into Highland Lake? How does that work? I'm not quite up to speed on how that works.
So the way it's supposed to work, or the way it was intended to work originally, is when they needed water in Highland Lake, you would divert water from the Mad River through the diversion canal into Rug Brook. Rug Brook would fill up. We would open the gate. It would go through the tunnel into Crystal Lake, overflow Crystal Lake, run down Sucker Brook, and fill Highland Lake. And that's what they did for water power way back in the day. That doesn't currently work because the diversion dam is non-functioning. We can't divert the water. There's a breach in the canal, or a couple of breaches in that canal. And that's all part of this $3 million dam and dike project that Bruce is going to find the money for.
So that means you can't get water off the river to put it into Rug Brook. So that puts a stop on having really a good excess source of water. Then is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. And to be honest, we don't love moving water. Go ahead, Marty.
No, I was just saying, having said that, in my short tenure here, we've seen 2 droughts and we've never come close to reaching our a low level. This year, we didn't even put anybody on any kind of stipulation where they were using less water. Mad River diversion, in my opinion, it's nice. It would be nice to have. It would be great to have. What's the expense worth?
Yeah. So we don't particularly like to move water from Rug Brook into Crystal Lake unless it's urgent. Crystal Lake is spring fed and the water is just clearer and cleaner, and it's just so bringing water in from Rug Brook, it's just more turbid. It's not ideal. So we don't really want to do it, and we don't really want to bring water from the Mad River and run that into our reservoirs if we can help it. That whole process was designed not so much for drinking water, but for water-powered factories. And
hydroelectric, yeah.
Yeah, and there's really no need. There's no need for it unless there's some ridiculously insane, drought situation. There's really no need for it. To refill Highland Lake, there would be, that benefit would exist, but we come springtime, we're always overflowing Crystal Lake. So it's running, it's running until July, for the most part. That's when it starts. Yeah. So.
Well, you going up Route 8 north to see the level of the water behind the Coldbrook Dam. Holy mackerel. That was unbelievable this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, and we never hit a critical point in our reservoirs. We did move water over once just because we could, and then it started raining right after we did that. So it was, we probably shouldn't have done it, but you know, we're just, Crystal Lake is just, it's a blessing from God. It's such an amazing source of water.
All right, well, appreciate it. I just wanted to bring myself up to date on what's going on.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Any other new business?
I'll make a
Yeah.
motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous.
that was fast.
Wow, it was.
Hey, the drive isn't bad.
Oh, Marty, have a safe trip home, Marty.
Thank
Hey,
you,
have a
gentlemen.
good, have
All
a
right.
good holiday, guys.
And
Happy
thank you,
Yes,
holidays.
Pam.
everybody. Happy
Thank you,
holidays.
Pam, for setting this up
Pam?
for us.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you,
thank you,
Pam.
Pam.
And thanks, Rhonda, for the minutes.
All right.
Good night,
We'll see
everybody.
y'all tomorrow.